Okay, so basically, generally we call this topic as functions. Okay, but Java में generally we used to call it methods. Okay, Java methods. So this is the one thing. Now I in the pre-class video also I've explained this thing like ki the basic thing, like in a very in minute manner, like what are actually functions. Okay, and I given an analogy there that like suppose like that TV example. Okay, what was that TV example? The TV example was something like this. Okay, so this is the old time TV, and there is a knob. And when you rotate this knob, that what will happen? The channel will get changed. And if suppose the channel is Doordarshan, and now when you are rotating the knob, it will go to the another channel, Metro. The next one is suppose Star. And in this way, what is happening? The channel is getting changed, but you don't have any control. Even there are a lot of challenge, but what you're doing is you need to go in a linear manner. Linear manner basically means knob to पूरा ही rotate करना पड़ेगा. And when you will keep on rotating the knob, the channel will keep opening. Okay, so this thing will happen, but here we don't have much control. So now the second thing, what we have done, like as technology evolve, you know that like the TVs come, we have a remote, and suppose you want to open any particular thing. Suppose if there are multiple options here, Netflix, Prime, Geo, like different effects. Okay, so what is happening, like when you want to open Netflix or whatever, you're just clicking the button and directly this get open. When you're clicking the Prime, then that will get open. So that means if what you need to imagine it, that if suppose there is a lot of code, suppose Amazon code has written by the developers, and they have written a lot of code here. Okay, you can see that a lot of code they have written, and now the one way of writing this code is now you know that like if they suppose run this program, okay, so in that case what will happen? All the program will run in this manner. And in this case, what will happen if suppose what is the problem with this approach? The problem with this approach is if something fails in between, if suppose some part got fails in between, then the whole program will stop. Okay, so that is the main thing when you write everything in a single thing. It's something like you created a main, and inside main you wrote a whole code. And then what will happen? If something got breaks, then like everything will got break. And now imagine that like the second scenario is suppose there are different teams. You know that like in Amazon, there are different teams. So one of the team is like orders team. Okay, orders code, one of the code is card code, payment code. Okay, everything if you mixed up in like in a single partner in single file, you are not made any function, like we have just written everything in a linear manner. Then what will happen if suppose there is a payment team? You know that in a company there is a payment, there is a different payment team, there is a card team, there is an order team. And if suppose payment team is working well, card team is working well, but if order team made a mistake, then that mistake, what it will do, it will stop the whole thing. And what is happening, using because this order is not working, you won't be able to access card and payment, because card and payment actually present in the same code. So now what we want is we want a control. We want better control in our code. Okay, you know that like when I was opening the Amazon website, opening the Amazon website. Now in this one, you already know this thing. When I was opening this Amazon website, so this is something like a remote control. This is something like a remote control. And now if I click on any of this button, so these are something like you can say that these are something like my remote buttons. Okay. So imagine that हमारे पे टीवी में, like for TV we have something like a remote, but for website the remote are actually the buttons. And if you're clicking on any button, it is taking to you to that part. Okay. So similarly, like if uh, I'm talking about this thing. So, but we need better control. So what we want is like if suppose the payment code should be separate. The payment code should be separate. Okay. The card code should be separate, and similarly the other things will be separate, like whatever. And if you want to access payment code, then you can directly call from here that I want to execute the payment code. If you want to access the card code, then you will be able to do it. Okay. And if you want to access this one, so you just need to type a name and you will be able to access that one. So I need that kind of functionality. The second very like disadvantage of writing everything in a single thing is that when suppose imagine that, like, if suppose there is one thing, there is one feature in your code is uh, suppose there is a feature in your code where you are printing good morning. Okay, where you are printing good morning. Okay, now there are also another print statement where it is saying Happy Diwali. Okay, now all these things are written here. Now you know that, like, this part of code you want to execute every day, but this part of code you don't want to execute every day, because ये तो जब दिवाली आएगी तभी आप बोलोगे. So the main thing is कि this code I want to execute is 365 days, like every day. And this part of code I only want to execute like 3 to 4 days. Okay, that in that Diwali week. So in that case, how can I control the count? If there is a particular part of the code and I want to control it, like I want this to be executed 365 times, then how will I do it? And if you're writing the code in a linear manner, then it is very difficult for you, because if you are running this 365 times, then this code will get also executed. ओके, सो पॉइंट हेयर इज कि अगर मुझे किसी पार्ट ऑफ द कोड को मुझे कितने टाइम्स रन करना है, वो भी मेरे कंट्रोल में आ जाता है, एंड आई डोंट नीड टू राइट दैट थिंग मल्टीपल टाइम्स. Okay, so that's why we have something known as functions. So let's see, uh, how functions or methods are actually look like. So when I'm talking about Java method, okay, method or functions में use करूँ तो method and functions are the same thing. Okay, so don't confuse about it. Okay, why you are using method or something like. So Java method is a block of code. It's a block of code designed to perform a particular task. A particular task. Okay. So, but now the thing is ki, okay, we created the function. So we have something known as I mentioned, like we have something known as function. We used to call this as a function. I mean, को function बोल देते हैं कि you created different functions. You created different function. But every function will be having some name. इस function का कुछ नाम होगा, मान लो x, y, and z. Okay, then I will be able to call it. Na? I should know the name. And remember one thing, if I want to execute a function, then I need to call it. ओके, जैसे आपको बुलाने के लिए आपका नाम यूज करना पड़ता है ना, वैसे ही इट्स नॉट लाइक कि इफ आई एम सेइंग कि से हेलो देन एवरीवन इज सेइंग हेलो. इफ आई एम कॉलिंग समवन नेम and if I'm saying that, okay, just introduce yourself, then you need to introduce yourself. Similarly, if we created multiple functions, then if I want that this function should get executed, then I need to call this function. So this is something known as calling. This is something known as calling a function. So if I call a function, then what will happen? Then that function will respond to me. If I call this z function, this function will get executed. If I call this function, this function will get executed. I can also ask x key, you need to execute 3 times. So this function will get executed 3 times. Okay, it totally depends upon me. So this is known as calling a function. So that is a one thing. अब इसमें ना basically if you want to call it, so basically generally you know that uh, Java actually uses this class paradigm, okay, where you have something like a main function, and you have something, this is the main function, and this is actually comes under class. Okay, so whatever function you are creating, you need to write inside it. Whatever you function you are writing it, you need to write inside it. And जैसे main आपका function अंदर लिखा है, वैसे ही you need to put your function like inside it only. And because everything whatever you are writing under a class. Okay, so that is a main thing. And there is one concept which we will learn basically, that is objects tomorrow. class and objects tomorrow, where we will see that कि we can execute this function. हम इस function को execute करवा सकते हैं using an object. तो ऑब्जेक्ट वगैरह हम इसको कल देखेंगे, लाइक व्हाट इज एन ऑब्जेक्ट एंड ऑल. बट तो लेकिन अभी हम ऑब्जेक्ट को यूज नहीं करेंगे, लाइक इफ यू वांट टू कॉल अ फंक्शन. ओके, अभी वी विल नॉट यूज ऑब्जेक्ट टू कॉल द फंक्शन. सो आई एक्सप्लेन यू दैट इफ आई टेक यू टू द रेपलेट. If I take you to the replit, then let's see few things about the code. ठीक है, let's understand how the basically Java execute any code. So guys, when I'm writing here Java main.java, then what is happening is, यहाँ पे आप ध्यान दो what is happening actually. When I'm writing Java main.java, then I'm telling Java, मैं Java को बोल रहा हूँ, Java compiler, that please execute this code main.java. So basically what Java will do, Java will look for like any file main.java कि कोई main.java नाम की फाइल है, because in which whatever directory, जिसके अंदर जिस डायरेक्टरी के अंदर I have executed this code, in the same directory it will look for the main.java, and now finally it find it out. Okay, yes, there is a main.java. Now, after getting the main.java, it knows that ki, okay, inside this thing, I need to look for the class. इस फाइल के अंदर मुझे क्लास ढूंढनी है, और किस नाम की, मेन नाम की. दैट्स व्हाई यू नो दैट लाइक द फाइल नेम एंड द क्लास नेम शुड बी सेम. दैट इज द रीजन, because when you are giving this name na, so Java already know that okay, I need to look for the file, I got it, then I need to find the class main, and inside that main I need to find a main method. So this is the main function, and that main function it will execute by default whatever the code written in the main function. So that's why when you are executing this, automatically Java is actually executing your code. So this is how it happens. Now, the next thing is कि always remember, you know that like everything, whatever we write in, मतलब Java is an object-oriented language. Okay, so you know that like every time we are creating a class. Okay, every time whatever you like whatever job you are doing and everything, like whatever code you are writing, it is must for you that you need to write a class. Okay, so that's why we created a class. क्लास और ऑब्जेक्ट का हम कंसेप्ट कल देखेंगे, उस पर इतना डेप्थ नहीं जा रहे हैं, बट इतना समझ रहे हैं कि लाइक एवरी टाइम वी नीड टू क्रिएट अ क्लास, एंड इनसाइड दैट आई हैव क्रिएटेड अ मेन मेथड. सो दिस इज द मेन फंक्शन. So this is the body of the main function. So this is something like a body, like where you have written the code. So this is known as body, and this is the opening bracket and closing bracket. Now the second thing is, what is this public? Okay, public is an access modifier. Access modifier we will also see tomorrow. What is public means? कि public का मतलब होता है कि इस प्रोग्राम, इस फंक्शन को कोई दूसरा फंक्शन भी एग्जीक्यूट कर सकता है, मतलब इट इज अवेलेबल टू एवरीवन. बट इन डेप्थ वी विल सी इट टुमारो. सो अभी बाय डिफॉल्ट यू नीड टू इमेजिन दैट यू नीड टू पुट पब्लिक. स्टैटिक, व्हेन यू आर पुटिंग स्टैटिक, स्टैटिक का मतलब क्या है? आई टोल्ड यू इन दिस वन ना कि व्हेन यू वांट टू कॉल एनी फंक्शन, अगर आपको किसी फंक्शन को कॉल करना है, तो जनरली वी रिक्वायर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट. जनरली वी रिक्वायर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट, एक क्लास का ऑब्जेक्ट बनता है, वो हमें जरूरत पड़ता है और वो हमारे लिए फंक्शन को कॉल करता है. बट राइट नाउ इफ यू डोंट वांट दैट कि ऑब्जेक्ट, लाइक अगर हमें बिना ऑब्जेक्ट के कॉल करवाना है, तो यू जस्ट नीड टू राइट स्टैटिक. You just need to write static. If you, so right now we haven't learned object, so that's why we will be using static for now. Static से क्या होगा? We like we don't require any kind of object to call the function. Now the another thing is void. Void is the return type. Okay, it is a return type. Instead of void, we can also place int. We can also place string. Okay, it totally here generally we use the data type. But void का मतलब होता है कि there is no return type. रिटर्न टाइप कब हमें समझ में आएगा? वी विल अंडरस्टैंड द रिटर्न टाइप व्हेन वी विल सी, अभी हम फंक्शंस में जब एक कैटेगरी देखेंगे रिटर्न वाली, देयर यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रिटर्न. तो अभी के लिए जितना जितना मैं बोल रहा हूँ उतना आप सिर्फ बिल्कुल मगअप करते जाओ. ठीक है, पॉइंट ये लिखना ही है, ये भी लिखना ही है। एंड void इज द डेटा टाइप, बेसिकली इट इज अ रिटर्न टाइप। सो यहाँ पे अभी वी एम पुटिंग void मतलब आई विल नॉट रिटर्न एनीथिंग टू यू। ओके, एंड दिस इज द नेम ऑफ द फंक्शन, एंड इनसाइड इट दिस इज नोन एज पैरामीटर, एंड दिस इज एन स्ट्रिंग एरे। ये एक स्ट्रिंग एरे है, ठीक है। डोंट वरी, इन द एंड व्हेन वी विल सी फंक्शन विद पैरामीटर्स, तो वहां पे हम इसको समझेंगे ये करता क्या है। तो अभी तो हम इसको एज इट इज ही लिखते हैं। नाउ इफ यू वांट टू क्रिएट योर ओन फंक्शन, तो अभी के लिए लेट्स डू वन थिंग, लेट्स फर्स्ट लेट्स राइट अवर कोड। एंड सपोज इफ आई एम राइटिंग int sum, okay, suppose if I am writing int x equal to 10, int sum equals to int y equals to 20, int sum equals to x plus y. Now what I'll do is I'll print it system dot print ln, and I'm printing sum is sum. Okay, so if I copy this code and paste it here, so now what I'll do is I'll write a and b, and instead of sum I will write sub, and I will write a minus b. Sub is sub. Now in this one what I'm doing is x ab a10 b10. Okay, now what I'll do is basically I'll copy this again and I'll create another one, and this is my m or n, and this is my multiply, and this is my m, this is n. ठीक है, so basically this is the code, and here what I'm doing is here I'm actually writing m n m minus 1. So now you can see this thing here, like int m equal to 10, n equal to 20, mul equal to m minus n, and basically this is the multiplication. Okay, now if I execute it code, now the problem with this thing is if I execute this code, let's see what will happen. So you already know what will happen is something like it will do the sum, it will do the subtraction, it will do the multiplication. But the problem here is I don't want to execute this subtract. Okay, so in that case, I need to comment this code, then I'll execute if I don't want to execute this subtract part. तो मैंने क्या करा, I commented this code, and now if I execute it, then only this part and this part will get executed. Now if I want to execute multiply it two times, then in that case I need to write it two times. Okay, I need to write it two times. So basically I need to write the print statement two times. So this is actually a complication because I don't want that particular set of code. I only want कि ये execute होना चाहिए and this should be executed three times. And if I want that this should be executed three times, then in that case I need to basically do this operation three times. But there is a challenge. If I do मतलब अगर मैं इस तरह से लिखूंगा, so you know that like how it is actually the complexity is becoming more complicated and the code is looking more dirty. So the good way is like I want better control in my code. Like so that if I call this one, देखो when you use calculator and if you are doing addition, तो then addition will only perform addition. And when you will perform subtraction, then subtraction will only perform subtraction. So basically I want that level of control. So for that, let's do one thing. Let's create a function. ठीक है? So I am creating, I'll create, ठीक है, तीन functions. मैं थोड़ा बढ़िया वाले नाम रखूंगा फंक्शंस के. ओके, सो लेट्स सी द सिंटेक्स ऑफ क्रिएटिंग द फंक्शन. सो फर्स्ट you need to write public, then you need to write static, then you need to write void, as it is till this point. Now I need to give the name to the function. So you know that like here in this one, here for this function I need to give a name. Okay, I can also give this name addition. But मैं थोड़ा सा funny name, I'll not funny name, and I just want to give some interactive beautiful name. ठीक है. So this function name is my अब्बाजान function. ठीक है. This अब्बाजान function what it will do? It will do addition for you. Now I'm copying this code. Okay. I'm writing अम्मीजान function. अम्मीजान function is what it will do? It will do subtraction and भाईजान. So basically the third function is भाईजान. Now what I'll do is I'm copying this code like for this अम्मीजान once. I'm here putting in this one. And here in this one, what I'll do is I'll put this thing, the subtraction part here. Okay. And I'll do the Bhaijan part here. So my Bhaijan, what it will do, it will actually do the multiplication here for me. This Ammijan, what she will help me, she will just हमारा father and son थे ना, like in the previous one. So imagine that like we have Abbajan who is actually doing the some addition, Ammijan subtraction, Bhaijan multiplication. Now, if you want, like, I want to perform this operation, Bajan wala, like only addition, then you just need to call a function. And you already know that, like, every times these function will not get by default get called. Suppose if I'm writing, instead of writing problem one, and if I'm writing java, okay. Now, if I execute it, let's see what will happen. So you can see that like the output is not coming. Okay, why output is not coming? Because when it executed the main and inside it main, it doesn't find anything. Okay, it doesn't find anything. So suppose what I'll do is I'll call the, basically suppose if I call the Abbajan, let's see what will be the output. I'm calling the Abbajan. Now let's see. So you can see that sum is 30. Similarly, I can call Abbajan 5 times. सो देखो अब्बाजान से अगर आपको आउटपुट चाहिए तो अब्बाजान को बुलाना तो पड़ेगा ना. तो इसको कहते हैं कॉलिंग करना. कॉलिंग मतलब व्हाट यू आर डूइंग इज यू जस्ट नीड टू राइट द फंक्शन नेम एंड पुट दिस ब्रेसेस. सो दिस इज नोन एज कॉलिंग फंक्शन. एंड इफ आई एग्जीक्यूट इट, then what will happen? It will get executed 4 times. If you want that I want to execute it 100 times, then you can also put a loop for int I equals to n. जितनी बार अब्बाजान से जवाब पूछोगे उतनी बार आपको जवाब मिलेगा. So if I execute it, now let's see what will happen. Now sum is 30, and you can see that like output is coming in this way. Okay, so basically what is happening here is like this will get called these many times. So similarly, I can like write, and I can also change the direction. Like I can also print Ammijan first. Okay, and or you can say that Bhaijan I'll put in the first position. So you can see that like I'm also changing the direction of the code. So you can see that, okay, 1 second, I haven't put the semicolon. So it's not only the flow, you can see that like I'm just calling this part of the code first. Generally, we have written this code in the last part. Okay. Guys, understood or not? The basic function thing. Nice, nice follow. अरे नो मत लिखो, नो के आगे भी लिखो कि क्या समझ नहीं आया। इससे ये समझ में आएगा कि बेसिकली व्हाट इज इट। रिपीट से कुछ नहीं होगा। लाइक आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड योर चैलेंज। अभिषेक कुमार, कैन यू हेयर मी?
यस सर।
यस सर, यस सर। आपकी वॉइस में इको कर रही है। आप ना एक डिवाइस को म्यूट रखो, दूसरी डिवाइस को ऑन रखो। नाउ कैन यू हेयर मी?
यस सर।
क्या
यस सर।
क्या क्या कंफ्यूजन है, कहाँ समझ नहीं आया?
सर थोड़ा सा सर बीच में सर कंफ्यूज हो गया सर।
अच्छा ठीक है, लेकिन मतलब एग्जैक्टली अभी आप बताओगे ना तो मैं वो पार्ट एक्चुअली मैं आपको समझाता
सर जैसे फाइव टाइम सर, जैसे आप रिपीट करना चाह रहे थे सर, उसके लिए।
हूँ। किसके लिए?
सर से आपने बोला ना सर कि 5 टाइम रिपीट करना है सर।
भाईजान,
तो
मतलब ये प्रिंट करना है 5 टाइम्स।
यस सर।
तो देखो इसको अगर आप 5 टाइम्स, देखो आपको पता है घर में फैमिली होती है, ठीक है, उनको उनमें अगर मम्मी से बोलोगे ना मम्मी एक पराठा दे दो, एक पराठा देंगी। बोलोगे दूसरा ही पराठा दे दो, दूसरा भी देंगे। तो वैसे ही द सेम वे फंक्शन इज वर्किंग हेयर। इफ आई एम सेइंग भाईजान को अगर मैं 5 बार कॉल करूं, 2 बार, 3 बार, 4 बार, 5 बार, तो वो मुझे 5 बार आउटपुट देगा। ये 5 बार वहां पे जाएगा एंड इट विल एग्जीक्यूट दिस कोड एंड विल गिव आउटपुट टू मी। द सेकंड वन ऑल्सो, ये भी इसको बेसिकली आउटपुट देगा। थर्ड वन इस पे जाएगा, इसको एग्जीक्यूट करेगा, आउटपुट देगा। फोर्थ वन इस पे जाएगा, एग्जीक्यूट करेगा। फिफ्थ वन जाएगा, आउटपुट देगा। तो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर इज लाइक वट एवर, मतलब आप यू आर फ्री टू कॉल फंक्शन एनी नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स। तो आप 5 बार लिखोगे तो 5 बार आउटपुट मिलेगा। लाइक
सर ये
गेटिंग इट?
पब्लिक
हाँ
स्टैटिक
हाँ
वॉइड है सर, ये हर हर टाइम लिखना पड़ेगा सर।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, राइट राइट, उसको हर टाइम आप अभी आपको सिर्फ आंख बंद करके लिखना है। अब जैसे जैसे हम आगे बढ़ेंगे ना, यू विल गेट इन क्लैरिटी कि ये क्या है, ये क्या है। एंड देन यू विल गेट, जैसे आपने
यस
व्हेन योर जब आपका पहला सेशन हुआ था तो आई टोल्ड यू ना, आप इसके बारे में मत सोचो, आप बस इसके बीच में कोड लिखो। सो अभी धीरे धीरे आप लोगों को क्लैरिटी आएगी चीजों में, लाइक व्हाट आर दिस थिंग। सो राइट नाउ जैसे अभी आपको समझ में आया कि इसको फंक्शन कहते हैं,
यस
फंक्शन
सर।
है मेथड। सो अभी पब्लिक स्टैटिक वॉइड यू नीड टू राइट इन एवरी कोड, मतलब हर उसमें आपको लिखना है।
ओके
ठीक है?
सर। गेट इट सर।
ठीक। ओके, थैंक यू अभिषेक।
वेल।
सो guys, this is the thing, and you can see that like this is how we called it. Up now let's move to the, so this is how we created the, like we created function in this way. Now let's do something. अब functions का चीज क्या होता है? Like I'll just go to problem java. Okay. So generally अभी तो I created this function. Okay. So for now, suppose if I remove it, I'll remove this function. Okay. Now I think you have seen in the websites कि like when you are clicking a particular button, it is printing your name. When you are clicking a particular button, then it is actually doing some other task. So suppose like if I'm saying कि there are things which we are doing. Okay. तो one second. हाँ. So basically suppose the first function which we created is हम एक गेम पे काम कर रहे हैं, print info. ठीक है, तो ये क्या करेगा ये फंक्शन, इट एक्चुअली प्रिंट अवर इंफॉर्मेशन. ओके. द सेकेंड फंक्शन व्हाट इट विल डू इज इट विल कैलकुलेट द, सपोज पावर ऑफ 2. ओके. इट विल कैलकुलेट द पावर ऑफ 2. And what this function, it will evaluate the expression, evaluate expression. Okay, so now you can see this. One second, I need to put p. I need to put it E. So you can see that like I've created this function name, two function print info, power of to evaluate expression. Print info में let's see what we will do. String name. Okay. Sonalal. ठीक है. So suppose if I'm printing this system dot out dot print println. And now what I'm doing is I'm printing this thing. So basically I'm printing this name, okay, and I'm saying plus name has name, sorry, name dot length. आपको पता है length मेरा function होता है plus, and I'm saying that characters. So basically what this function is doing, this function is telling me कि इस name में basically how many characters are there. So I'm saying name, then it will print has, then it will print name dot length, जितने उसके length हैं. Okay, length is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, has 8 characters. So it automatically will give me this thing like how many character it has. Now if I come to the next one, what it will do, I'm saying int x equals to 2, and what it will do, it will calculate the power of 2. Okay, so if I write int, suppose if I'm writing x equal to 3 and y equal to 2, math dot pow, क्या फंक्शन होता है मैथ का, कैलकुलेट द पावर.
POW लगेगा सर।
हाँ, क्या लगेगा?
POW, मैथ डॉट पाव
ठीक है ना?
ब्रैकेट POW।
ठीक है, wait 1 second, I'm just checking. Okay, nice. Math dot pow, and the one like whose power I want to calculate, x comma 2. So basically it will do what it will do, it will calculate the power of 2. Okay, so
सर डबल
if
पे
I,
आएगा ना आंसर?
क्या आएगा?
आंसर डबल पे होगा ना,
हाँ
इंटीजर में
सब
तो नहीं।
वेरिएबल डबल लेना है।
हाँ हाँ, कोई बात नहीं यार, मतलब देखो पावर निकलेगी तो इंटीजर ही आएगा ना. मैं बताऊँ क्यों बोल रहा हूँ. अगर मैंने इंटीजर वेरिएबल नंबर लिया होता, मतलब डबल फ्लोटिंग नंबर लिया होता, तो इन दैट केस आप 2 का पावर निकालोगे तो इंटीजर मिलेगा, 4 का पावर मिलेगा तो इंटीजर मिलेगा. इफ यू आर कैलकुलेटिंग स्क्वायर रूट तो वहां पे आपको डेसिमल वैल्यूज मिलेंगी. सो बेसिकली इफ आई एम सेइंग डबल वाई एंड सिस्टम डॉट आउट डॉट प्रिंट एल. ओके, सो इफ आई प्रिंट वाई, so basically what happened here is I calculated power of 2. Now if I calculated, अगर मैं यहाँ पे a equal to 4 निकालता हूँ and suppose there is an expression, and expression is uh, double y equals to 54 into 2 plus a plus 2. Suppose कोई expression है, random expression है written. System dot out dot println, and if I print y, and this is out. So basically you can see that like these three things are doing three different tasks. And now if I just write here print info, if I calculate power of 2, so it just I need to write this thing. So basically print info power of 2 and evaluate expression, and when I'll call it, so I will get my result. ठीक है, बट यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा इसको लिख लेते हैं. Expression. एंड यहाँ पे हम लिख लेते हैं पावर ऑफ, so that is y. So basically here you can see that like when I'm saying y and this thing is coming. So if I execute this code, java problem1 dot Java. So it is actually Java problem 2. Okay, so power of 2 is actually coming 9.0. 9.0 why? Because 3 का square हो गया ना, 3 into 3. And evaluate expression, like after calculating the expression, we are getting 1 and 14. So Tonalal has 8 characters. Okay, so you can see that like this output is coming. And here I've printed y. So मेरे को y नहीं print करना था. So if I execute it, then I'll get my output. So that's why you need to first identify what are the things, what are the tasks, what are the subtasks which you need to do. And based on the subtasks, which you need to create the functions. Okay. Everyone understood? You can put on the chat if you understood this thing. No बोला ना मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं, मजाक कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है. So ठीक है. So guys, let's come to the next part. So we have seen like how we can do this thing. अब इसमें एक problem है. There is a problem in this one. Okay, we have just started with the function concept, but here there is a challenge. The challenge is, I'll start with this example only. You can see that like here, every time when I'm calling this Ammi Jan, Bhai Jan or koi bhi, so what is happening? It is actually calculating the sum on those variables which is declared inside that function only. So every time मेरे को 10 plus 20 30, every time it is actually giving me 10 plus 20 30. I don't want that. I want कि ये values तो बदलते रहनी चाहिए ना. When you use calculator, जब आप calculator use करते हो, it's not like every time the value will remain the same. It's something like whatever value you are giving, so then calculator is calculating the sum and then giving it to you. अब यहाँ पे problem यही है. The problem here is every time when I'm calling this thing, like if I'm calling Abba Jam 5 times, every time it is saying 10 plus 20 30. तो there is a no use ना. मैं करूंगा कैसे function का जिसमें जो मेरे को सिर्फ एक ही output दे रहा है. Okay, so we have something known as, we have a concept of parameters. अब हम पढ़ेंगे parameters. Okay, we have a concept of parameters. Okay, so parameters is something through which you can define that what data is actually going into the function. क्या डेटा फंक्शन के अंदर जाएगा, that you can also define. So I'll copy this code and I'll explain you in the next one. Problem 3.java. So now if I copy this, and you can see that like if I'm writing problem 3 and like suppose if I'm doing a addition, okay, addition only. Now if I remove this, and now you can see that x equal to 10, y equal to 20, and this is the thing. Now if I want that, like I don't want this variable to be get like used here, ठीक है? और if I calculate addition here, तो मैं addition यहाँ से call कर रहा हूँ. So what I'll do is, now you can see that like there are brackets present here. Okay, there are brackets present here. So in this bracket, we can pass a value. We can pass a value to a function in brackets के through. Then how we can do it? So the way we can do it, what you can do is you can define, there are 3 ways. ठीक है, मैं तीनों ways आपको दिखाता हूँ. One, you can write int x equal to 10. Suppose you want to send 2 values. Int y equal to 20. Okay, this is the first way. And what I will do is I will write 10 comma 20. No, not 10 comma 20, like x comma y. So basically when I'm writing x comma y, then what will happen? The value will pass to this one. So when the value will get passed, मतलब something like when the function will get called. तो ये वही वाली बात है कि हमने छोटू को भेजा तो सही नानी के यहाँ, लेकिन नानी के यहाँ हमने खीर के साथ भेजा. ठीक है. तो अब वो ये आप सूर्यवंशम को याद कर सकते हो, भानु प्रताप के लिए वो खीर लेके जा रहा है. तो वैसे ही द पॉइंट हियर इज कि यहाँ पे व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज लाइक इट इज सेंडिंग द लाइक समथिंग टू द, व्हेन इट इज कॉलिंग, इट इज कॉलिंग अ फंक्शन विद सम वैल्यू. तो in the same way, हमें यहाँ पे अपने फंक्शन को भी उसी हिसाब से बनाना है। ओके, देखो अगर खीर लेके जा रहा है तो खीर का डब्बा तो यहाँ रेडी रहना चाहिए ना। सो द पॉइंट हियर इज व्हाट वी विल डू इज we will create two more variables, and either remember one thing, it's up to you whether you want to give the same name to the variable x or x, ये ऐसा कुछ रूल नहीं है। You can also give the name anything like c, d, anything, okay, it's totally up to you। or you can also, you are also free to use the same variable, अब फ्री वो वेरिएबल, लेकिन ये वेरिएबल्स, दीज वेरिएबल्स आर डिफरेंट वेरिएबल, दीज वेरिएबल्स आर नॉट दोज, लाइक ये सेम वेरिएबल नहीं है। ओके, बट द वैल्यू इट विल कंटेन विल रिमेन द सेम। एंड हाउ द वैल्यू यूज टू गेट पास्ड, so I'll explain you that thing। so here you can see that x is 20 and y is 20. So now in that case, the 10 will go to the first one. It is not deciding that कि मैं x सिर्फ x को ही दूंगा. It is deciding that okay, this is my first parameter and this is my second parameter. The first parameter value will go to the first parameter of this one. The second parameter value will go to the second parameter of this one. You can also add more parameters z, k, m, n. It totally up to you. You just need to put the comma. आपको बस कॉमा लगाना है। ओके, एंड लाइक one second, if you are just using, like you can also use more variables, int z, okay, int z equals to 30. So I can also use x comma y comma z and x y z, and suppose here I am writing z y x, z y or x. Now in this case what will happen? In this case, don't think x value will go to x only. The x value will go to the first one. The y value will go to the first one. The z value will go to the third one, second one, the third one. Okay. So this is how the value is getting going. It is just following an order. ये एक order को follow कर रहा है. Okay. And don't think कि मतलब हाँ वही कि जैसे I said कि x is going to x only. So this is not what happening here. And you can use as many parameters you want. Okay. But generally, just remember one thing as a developer. Okay. As a developer, whenever you are creating a function, डेवलपर के उसमें ये कहा जाता है कि लाइक व्हेन यू आर डेवलपिंग समथिंग, बड़े फंक्शंस मत बनाओ। लाइक डोंट क्रिएट दोज लेवल ऑफ फंक्शन विच इज हैविंग मोर देन 5 पैरामीटर्स, जिनमें 5 से ज्यादा पैरामीटर्स। ओके, वो डेवलपर प्रैक्टिस है, करने के लिए आप 50 पैरामीटर भी रख सकते हो। बस एज अ डेवलपर what you need to do is generally try to have like 4 or 5 parameters. So it just I'm telling you as a practice, it will help you in future. So x, y, z. So I'm removing this z, and now here I am writing x comma y only. Okay. Now suppose here if I write a, b, and doesn't matter. Now I'll calculate a plus b here. Okay. So now what will happen whenever this function will call, whenever this function will get called, it will take these two values also. So suppose if I'm executing this, and if I'm executing this, what will happen? The sum is 30 is coming. Why? Because I've sent these two values and these values are coming here and it is calculating the sum and those two value already declared. आपको यहाँ पे declare करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि आप ये सोचोगे मुझे यहाँ पे declare करना है, ये करने की आपको यहाँ पे जरूरत नहीं है। Already when it is in parameter, you can use it anywhere. That's why on OJ, you know that like you are using OJ from last 2 weeks and you know that like we are providing you the parameter and you are doing the code in between. Okay. सो दैट इज द सेम थिंग वी आर डूइंग। तो हमने क्या कर रखा है, पीछे से ये कोड आपके सामने से छुपा रखा है। ओके, दिस कोड वी हाइड इट इन द ओजे एंड यू आर राइटिंग द थिंग ओनली इन दिस बॉडी, like in OJ generally what you are doing. So basically you can see that these are the parameters. So this is the one way of calling it. The another way of calling it is you can directly write addition and you can put 10 comma 20. अगर if you have a value in variable, then you can put variable also. If you have values, then you can directly put values also. So 10 comma 20, it will give you the output. Similarly, I can call this addition like 3 times but with different values. If I execute it now, let's see what will happen. So you can see that sum is actually coming. So now it is right now it is actually looking, this function is looking good, and you can say that something live. It is not just repeating the same thing again and again. Whatever values you are giving, it is changing it. Now, what is your task is you need to do the same thing with the subtraction and the with the this thing with multiplication. Okay. So I've posted in the chat. One second. So I've posted in the chat. So guys, what I did is I have put this code in this one. तो मैं ये लिंक आपको शेयर कर रहा हूँ. Okay, from there you can directly copy it. आप डायरेक्टली कॉपी कर सकते हो. ठीक है. I think from the Zoom chat you won't be able to do it. Just open this link, copy this code, and what you can do is on your side complete the code, and then you can just directly put on this chat. अब Zoom chat पे directly you can put your answer. But from there, what you can do is like you will get this addition thing. Now you need to complete it for subtraction and multiplication. आपको subtraction और multiplication के लिए इसको complete करना है. हाँ, जूम चैट पे कॉपी नहीं हो रहा है, तो आप सीधा क्या करिए, आप इस लिंक को कॉपी मत करिए, सिर्फ क्लिक करिए, क्लिक करके सीधा आपको पेज खोल देगा. इट विल डायरेक्टली ओपन द पेज. डोंट ट्राई टू कॉपी दिस लिंक, जस्ट ओपन इट एंड ऑटोमेटिकली ऑन योर ब्राउजर इट विल गेट ओपन. Just quickly do this thing. Yes, Rahul.
सर आई हैव डाउट।
हम्म.
तो वापस जा सकते हो उसी कोड पर एक बार?
हाँ, वन सेकंड.
सर लाइन नंबर 4 जो है इसमें आपने इंट ए और इंट बी ले रखा है। अगर हमें इंट सी एक और कर दें और लाइन नंबर 18 में हम सिर्फ दो ही रखें, 10 और 20 वहां पर 3 कर दें।
अच्छा, एक बार आप सॉरी, एक बार फिर से आप बोलोगे क्या?
सर जो लाइन नंबर 4 है आपने इंट ए और इंट बी ले रखा है।
हम्म.
अगर यहाँ पर इंट एक और ले लो, आप इंट सी कर दे एक बार और।
अच्छा, यहाँ पे.
हाँ,
हम्म.
और नीचे आप दो ही रहने दो, एडिशन 10 20, तो इससे कुछ।
हम्म. देखो वैसे ना यार, ये दे तो रहा है एरर. ठीक है, एरर देगा एक्चुअली, क्योंकि वो वैल्यू उसके अंदर है नहीं. मतलब वो बोल रहा है कि ये मैच नहीं हो रहे हैं. दीज नंबर ऑफ डेटा टाइप्स आर नॉट गेटिंग मैच विद दिस वन. मतलब जितना काउंट है इसका और इसका सेम रहना चाहिए. ओके.
बस
सो
नीचे वाले को बढ़ा सकते हैं, ऊपर ऊपर वाले को नहीं।
हाँ, अभी देखिए जैसे रिक्वायर्ड लिखा हुआ है, इतना चाहिए, बट उसको उतने ही मिले, दो ही मिले. गेटिंग इट. तो व्हाट आई डू
यस।
इज, सपोज इफ आई एम एडिंग 20, तो अभी तो ये काम कर जाएगा. ठीक है. ठीक है, अभी तो ये काम कर जाएगा. बट लाइक सपोज एज यू मेंशन कि अगर मैं यहाँ पे एक वैल्यू और दे देता हूँ,
यस सर।
अगर मान लो मैं इसको एक वैल्यू और दे देता हूँ. यार ये क्यों एरर दिया इसने, वन सेकेंड. अच्छा, ये इसकी वजह से ना, क्योंकि दो तो सेम ही रह गए. सो यू कैन सी दैट सम इज 20. ओके, आंसर दे रहा है. लेकिन अगर मैंने एक और बढ़ा दिया, तो लेट्स सी व्हाट विल हैपन. तब आई थिंक चलना चाहिए. ठीक है, क्यों चलना चाहिए, आई टेल यू. पहले मैं तो देख लूं चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा.
बट सर
ओके,
आपने वहां पे
तो
चेक किया है लाइन नंबर 5
ये
पे?
स्ट्रिक्ट ये स्ट्रिक्ट है यार, ये स्ट्रिक्ट है। हाँ बताइए क्या बोल रहे हैं आप?
आपने लाइन नंबर 5 पे चेंज किया ही नहीं, क्योंकि
हाँ हाँ,
तीन
कोई
डिजिट।
बात नहीं, मतलब मुझे उससे मतलब नहीं है, मतलब वो तो मुझे पता है ना कि अगर वो चल रहा है कोड, इसका मतलब वो ले लेगा सी भी।
ओके।
बट अभी यहाँ पे बेसिकली यहाँ इससे ये पता चल रहा है, लाइक यू कैन सी दैट जावा इज गिविंग एरर इन दिस केस ऑल्सो, क्योंकि अदर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में ऐसे चल जाता था। बट यहाँ पे यू कैन सी वन थिंग, कि जितने नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स यहाँ पे हैं उतने नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट यहाँ पे होने चाहिए। सो दिस इज समथिंग लाइक रिक्वायर्ड एंड फाउंड। सो द पॉइंट हियर इज दिस इज नोन एज एक्चुअल एंड फॉर्मल आर्गुमेंट। तो ये एक एक्चुअल आर्गुमेंट होते हैं और दिस दीज आर नोन एज फॉर्मल आर्गुमेंट्स। ओके, वी कैन कॉल ऑल्सो एज आर्गुमेंट, पैरामीटर्स, ये सारे सेम ही नाम है। So you can use actual
तो
parameters,
इस
formal
मतलब पैरामीटर
parameters.
सेम
हाँ, तो दिस शुड
सेम
बी
होने
सेम,
चाहिए
मतलब
ऊपर
ये
भी नीचे?
बिल्कुल, हाँ काउंट सेम होना चाहिए तभी चलेगा।
ओके, थैंक यू।
ठीक है, ठीक
ओके।
है गाइस, जस्ट क्विकली डू इट। यस हरीश।
Sir, am I audible?
या व्हाट?
So once can you show the replit and problem?
हम्म
So here you declared that A, B, and C, and here we given
हम्म
the three values, but in the int
हम्म।
sum we did not given the three C no sir.
अच्छा, यहाँ पे बेसिकली यू आर सेइंग ना,
Yes sir.
हाँ मतलब वो ना बेसिकली बिकॉज राहुल वाज आस्किंग समथिंग कि सर इफ वी एक्चुअली include one more parameter, then what will happen? So I was just adding that thing, but definitely it will work because since the code is working na, so intentionally it's something like कि I was not focused at that part. I was focused in this thing कि okay, whether it will work or not, like when I'm passing two parameters here and here there are three, but it was not working and it is saying कि जो number of ये parameters हैं वो इसके count के इक्वल होना चाहिए, but हाँ that is fine, like we I can use it.
Okay sir.
ठीक है guys, quickly solve this thing. Everyone done? You can put your code on the chat. Okay, nice Rahul, nice Neha, विशाल, बढ़िया, पवन। बादल आपने सिर्फ सब्ट्रैक्ट का बनाया है। सेम पवन, आपने भी सिर्फ सब्ट्रैक्शन का बनाया, मतलब मल्टीप्लिकेशन का भी आपको बनाना था, बट ठीक है आप लोग बनाइए। ठीक है, सही है। So guys, most of your solution I've seen, like it's mostly correct. So I was saying कि okay, जैसे मैं यहाँ पे ये कर रहा था, I'm just removing this thing and I'll copy this code and I'll paste here and I'll write subtraction. तो मैं सब देता हूँ, तो मैं माइनस करता हूँ, इसको I'll give the name sub, इसको I'll give the name sub, इसको I'll give the name multiplication. Mul is okay. So now you can see that like I'm calling this thing and here I'll call the same thing with two values. तो यहाँ पे I'm doing subtraction and here I'm doing multiplication. So if I execute this code, let's see what will happen. So you can see this sum, sub and multiplication is coming. Okay, so now let's come to the next thing and one second. guys, 1 second. Okay, so till now we have seen that like how we can do these things. अभी तक हमने देखा पैरामीटर्स के साथ. Now let's go to the next part. ठीक है. सो नाउ लेट्स कम टू द अनदर थिंग, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट, जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा सारे लोग कंफ्यूज होते हैं. ठीक है, मुझे उसी पार्ट में पढ़ाने में सबसे ज्यादा मजा आता है जहाँ पे किसी को कुछ समझना है. तो नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजिंग बट लाइक इट विल गेट क्लियर, डोंट वरी. ठीक है, बट बहुत आसान है और सबसे ज्यादा यूज करोगे आप उस फीचर को. सो नाउ द थिंग हेयर इज लाइक इफ आई कॉपी दिस कोड हेयर, like if I put problem 4, now guys the problem here is कि अब like if I just remove everything and I put it here, okay, now you know that like what is happening here is कि यहाँ पे I'm calculating the addition, okay, and I'm providing the value, and based on this addition value what is happening is it is taking the A value and B value and doing the sum. But now tell me, what if here in this case you can see that like here I'm printing the sum, बट व्हाट इफ अगर मुझे यही सम यहाँ प्रिंट करना होता तो मैं कैसे करूँ? यही सम की आंसर अगर बेसिकली आई वाज प्रिंटिंग हियर, नाउ व्हाट आई वांट इज बेसिकली लाइक व्हाट आई वांट हियर इज कि देखो आप नानी के घर गए, ठीक है, दो तरीके हैं. सो like basically here what happened here is here I'm calling the function and now here I'm printing the value. Now there are two things, there are two scenarios, okay, and suppose you went to your nani's house, ठीक है, वहां पे आपको खीर मिली. ठीक है, एक ऑप्शन क्या है कि आपने खीर वहीं खा ली और वापस आ गए. ठीक है, पहला ये. दूसरा चीज आपने क्या करा, वहां गए, ठीक है, वहां पे नहीं खाई, खीर डब्बे में पैक करा ली, घर आए और घर में खा ली. So there are two scenarios. So basically the one scenario was, जो previous हम scenario देख रहे थे वो ये scenario था कि when you, जब आपने खीर वहीं खा ली, okay, so because everything is actually happening in that function only. But what if you want to eat the खीर, मतलब लेकिन घर पे आके, क्योंकि at the end घर तो आपका मेन ही है. Okay, so how we can do this? So we have a very like a beautiful thing like in programming, in every programming language, that is known as return. ठीक है, we have something known as return. Return, तो return मतलब that function, if function is doing some task, function is also returning you something. Okay, function is also returning you something कि आपने मुझे कुछ दिया, I have done the task, now I'm giving it to you. Okay, so that is the main thing of return actually. So now what kind of thing you can return? आप कुछ भी return कर सकते हो. Okay, आप कुछ भी return कर सकते हो. You can return a integer, you can return a string, you can return a boolean value, any data type you can return. You can also return an array, you can return anything. Okay, आप कुछ भी return कर सकते हो. So that is the flexibility you have. So what is the syntax of writing return? So whenever you want to return something, you just need to return, and whatever you want to return, you need to put a space and you need to give it here and then put a semicolon. And with this, what will happen? It will return the value. अब बेसिकली होगा क्या, नाउ यहाँ पे what I'll do is I will write return because I want to return the sum. Now it is returning the sum, it is returning the value of sum, but to whom? टू whom it is returning the value, ये किसको रिटर्न कर रहा है? पहले ये बताओ, कॉल किसने किया था? इसने किया था। कॉल की किसने किया था? इसने किया था। ठीक है, सो व्हेन इट इज कॉलिंग, तो द वैल्यू विल कम टू दिस वन ओनली, इसके पास ही वैल्यू आएगी। बट यहाँ पे यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, जब आपने बेटे को भेजा कि ओके जाओ उनके यहाँ से दूध लेके आ जाओ, तो आप अपना डब्बा भी तो भेजोगे ताकि वो दूध भर के उसमें दे दें। So basically here what is happening, like when you are returning something, then we need a variable here also. We also need a variable here also, and I can say that the variable name is final or something like m and equal to. So what will happen whenever you are returning something, always remember one thing, there should be one variable which is waiting here, okay, of the same data type, because you already know कि वहां से कुछ वैल्यू आएगी। तो रिटर्न से होता क्या है, बेसिकली जो भी सम होके वैल्यू आएगी, वट एवर द आउटपुट विल कम, इट विल डायरेक्टली रिटर्न टू दिस वन, एंड दिस वन मतलब वो डायरेक्टली इस m के अंदर आ जाएगी, एंड नाउ दिस m वैल्यू नाउ यू कैन यूज इट एनीवेयर। ओके, नहीं तो तुम प्रिंट का क्या करोगे ना, व्हाट यू विल लाइक इफ यू डोंट हैव दिस काइंड ऑफ वेरिएबल, देन व्हाट यू विल प्रिंट? सो इफ इट इज रिटर्निंग, देन देयर मस्ट बी समवन हु इज स्टैंडिंग हियर टू कैच दैट थिंग। उसको कैच करने के लिए भी कोई दूसरे साइड खड़ा होना चाहिए, when even whenever you are returning, and when you are not returning, then you don't need to use this variable, then तब उस वेरिएबल को यूज करने की जरूरत नहीं है। if someone is returning something, then only you need to do this thing. Okay, getting it? Returning मतलब getting। मैं भगवान से प्रे करता हूँ आपके हाथ के सबसे हाँ निकले, सब बोले कि हम बढ़िया वाला समझ में आ गया। ओके, नाइस। अब या राइट, ओके, अब देखो बेसिकली अब now you can see that like whenever you are returning something, so I told you na previously, like this is something known as, this is something known as, okay, yeah, right, Jyotsna. So basically what we will do is कि whenever we are when we are returning something, so remember one thing, तो ये function था ना, I told you in this one, so I told you this is public static and there is a void. void का मतलब मैं कुछ भेजने वाला नहीं हूँ, ओके। सो इसलिए इन प्रीवियस कोड वी वर यूजिंग void because we were not sending anything. So void is a return type. रिटर्न टाइप बेसिकली मीन्स अगर आप कुछ भेजने वाले हो तो पहले ही यहाँ पे बता दो, बाद में मत बोलना कि मेरे को वैल्यू भेजनी थी। ओके, सो दैट इज द थिंग, सो आई एम टेलिंग, आई नीड टू टेल माय फंक्शन दैट आई वांट टू सेंड अ, लाइक एट द एंड आई वांट टू सेंड अ वैल्यू जो इंटीजर टाइप की होगी। सो नाउ इन दिस केस आई विल नॉट राइट void. Okay, so that's why I was like in the main function there is something known as void, because main function कभी कुछ return नहीं करता, we are not returning anything from the main function. Okay, but generally when I've used this function, so here you can see that I'm writing int y, because at the end I will be returning this sum. So now what will happen when this sum will get calculated, so it will come. So now I will show you the step by step process what will happen. Okay, अब मैं आपको step by step process बताता हूँ होता क्या है। First, what will happen when the main function will, this main function will get executed, and in the main function this first line will get executed, and when this first line will get executed, it will see that कि okay यहाँ पे एक addition है, तो what it will do, program यहीं पे ही रुक जाएगा, the program will freeze here, and when it will freeze here, then it will go to this function, okay, and it will provide the 5 value to it, 15 value to it, and after that it will calculate the sum equal to 5 plus 15. After calculating 5 plus 15, it will give me 20. Now after that you are returning 20. When you are returning 20, now your program already knows that okay you will be returning a value. अगर आप void यहाँ पे कुछ और लिखते हो, then it will give you an error. Suppose if you are writing void, क्योंकि it is a conflicting thing ना कि आप return कर रहे हो but you are saying return. So now when you are returning 20, so this 20 will now come back to this place. अब ये जो वैल्यू है, ये चीज है, ये रिप्लेस हो जाएगी किससे? 20 से। Now 20 value now contained inside m, 20 m के अंदर है। नाउ दिस प्रोग्राम नाउ विल गेट कंटिन्यू, ये प्रोग्राम जो यहाँ पे रुका था, नाउ इट विल गेट कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम द सेम स्टेप, नाउ इट विल कम टू द नेक्स्ट लाइन, एंड नाउ दिस थिंग विल गेट प्रिंटेड सम इज 20. गेटिंग इट? दिस इज द होल स्टोरी. This is the whole story, how thing used to happen. So basically, like this is something like how program actually works. So basically, I'm returning this value. I'm returning this value. ठीक है. So अब point ये है कि now you can ask me this question कि यार फायदा क्या है लेकिन इसका? What is the benefit of it? खीर तो मैं चाहे वहां खाता चाहे अपने घर में खाता, बात तो एक ही है. ओके, व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ प्रिंटिंग हेयर ओनली? मेन में प्रिंट करने का पॉइंट क्या है? तो आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल यू इट इज नॉट अबाउट प्रिंटिंग द बेसिकली प्रिंटिंग समथिंग हेयर इन मेन. ओके, उसका एक्चुअली मतलब नहीं है. देखो, जैसे क्या होता है, यू हैव गिवन अ बोर्ड मार्क्स, बोर्ड एग्जाम. ओके, you have given a board exam. Now once you given the board exam, you will get a result. Okay, whether fail or pass. Now based on that result, what will happen, another things are dependent ki whether you will get admission on some colleges or not. Like basically that's why you need this result. Okay, college or suppose 11th or 12th or anything like so. So you can see that like it is actually dependent on some other thing. Okay. Now you know that like why this result is important, because I need to find a figure, because I need to find out this thing. मेरे को इस प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन ढूंढना है, लेकिन इसके लिए मेरे को इसकी जरूरत है. Similarly, suppose when you are doing some operation in mathematics, okay, and now suppose you created multiple functions. So suppose if there is an expression is this y z into k. Okay, y equal to z into k. Now you know that like first you will do this operation. So this operation, suppose z is 2 and k is 3. Now you will get 6. Now when you will get this result, then only you will be able to add it with like will able to add with this thing. So suppose y is containing 4, then you will do this thing. But you remember one thing, इसको करने से पहले अगर आपको ये करना था तो ये करने से पहले आपको इसकी वैल्यू चाहिए थी. Similarly, now you can see one thing. Suppose if I have done the addition of this thing, अगर मुझे addition कर लिया मैंने 5 plus 15, that is 20. Now imagine that I have another function which is calculating the power. Okay, which is calculating the power, and power of which value you need to provide the value here, int x, and here we will write int val equals to math dot pow, and here I'm writing x comma 2. So basically whatever x value coming here, it is actually calculating the power of it. And now suppose I'm not returning anything here, system dot out dot println. I'm just printing here what val. Now here I'm, instead of int I need to write void because I'm not returning anything. So basically this m जो value आई यहाँ से 5 plus 15, that is 20. Now I want to send this value to this power function. So power will take this m value and now it will calculate this thing. So if I execute it, okay, now then what is the use of return का use यहाँ पे आता है कि basically whatever the task this first one is doing, I will be needing that value to do the another task. क्योंकि भाई जब तक यहाँ से बेसिकली नानी के यहाँ से खीर नहीं आई होगी, मैं दादी के यहाँ खीर कैसे भेजूंगा? ओके, अगर आप नानी के यहाँ गए खीर खा के आ गए, तो जब घर ही पहुंच खीर घर ही नहीं पहुंची, देन व्हाट आई विल सेंड टू द दादी के घर? गेटिंग इट? So why I want this result in my main function, why I want this output, so that I can send it to the power function. Now this power will, what it will do, it will actually calculate this thing. अब इसको क्या हो गया? Math. Okay, so basically it is actually it should be double. Should be double because ठीक है, हाँ, got it. Why you people were saying at that time कि it should be double. ठीक है, क्योंकि math dot power double ही return करता है. Nice. That's my bad. Okay, so if I execute this now, let's see what will happen. So you can see that 400 output is coming. Why? Because I given this value to addition. Addition has calculated the sum, returned the sum. सम के लिए भेजा, 5 + 15 करके दिया, 5 + 15 करके जो वैल्यू आई दैट विल कम इनटू m. नाउ आफ्टर दैट if I got the value m, then I'll send to that value to power function. Now power function will calculate the power of it. Okay. Now suppose what I will do is, now suppose I am saying that I also want to apply whatever the output is coming, I want to apply some interest on it. Interest, मैंने एक interest का function बनाया. Okay. Or suppose I want to I want to apply some interest on it. Okay. I want to apply some interest on it, but on which value? So in that case, I need to return again this value, return val. और यहाँ पे मैं लिखूंगा void की जगह, because which value I'm returning val value, which is a double type. So basically, instead of this one, I will write double. Okay. And now when it is returning a double value, always remember that I need to use the same double variable here. And I will write x equal to, and now my value, whatever, sorry, यहाँ पे नहीं, यहाँ पे double x will come here, and now I'll remove this part. उसके बाद now I'm calculating the interest on this x value. And now I can create another function that is known as interest. Okay, now I'm calculating the interest. So basically here what I'm doing is, here I've calculated the double value, and basically इसको मैं हटाता हूँ, मुझे interest निकालना है, तो interest किस में निकालूंगा, x पे निकालूंगा, ये भी मेरा double होना चाहिए. Okay, always remember कि whatever data type I'm returning, whatever data type I'm sending, those should be the of same data type. So now at this point, what will happen? I'm calculating the interest double. I'm saying that interest equal to, and suppose if I'm applying 10% interest on it, x plus 10% of 10 divided 100 of and x. So this is something like I'm calculating 10% interest लगा के दे रहा हूँ. And now here I'm calculating system.out.println. This is the final amount. The final amount. Now, if I execute it, then what will happen? It will provide me it will give me the output. So now I have actually applied 3 layer of things. 3 layer की चीजें लगाई है मैंने. पहले इसका ये निकाला, then return it to m, then I calculated the power, then return it to x, then calculated the interest, then it is given. Okay, now there is some issue with the brackets, but which bracket? One second. Okay, sorry. Here I'm not returning anything. मैं यहाँ तो कुछ return ही नहीं कर रहा हूँ. INTRST. If I run it, now let's see what will happen. I don't want to return anything from here because I'm saying this is my final destination, that is done, because I won't be required that value मतलब forward, मुझे उसे आगे के लिए जरूरत ही नहीं है. Okay, so that's why I didn't return anything from here. So first this task, second task, and then third task. So this is how you will. That is fine. कोई नहीं, like intentionally I have write it in this way because the function name is also an interest. So it will not create a conflict anything. So that's why I just use. So guys, this is the thing, and this is how we were actually doing the task. Okay. Basically I want to show you some, मैं आपको interest के, I want to show you different, you can say that different scenarios of interest return. Okay, and that might be little bit, मतलब वहां पे थोड़ा सा आपको challenge आएगा, but don't worry, once you get used to it, then in every program, most of your programs, whatever you will be learning later in the future or in real programming, you will be using return a lot. बस आपको ये use case समझना है. ओके। तो मैं आपको रिटर्न के अब दूसरे अनेक रूप दिखाऊंगा। जैसे विष्णु के अवतार होते हैं ना, जैसे लाइक वी हैव डिफरेंट गॉड्स, उनके डिफरेंट अवतार होते हैं, वैसे रिटर्न के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट अवतार आई शो यू, एंड दैट विल हेल्प यू टू अंडरस्टैंड लाइक कि व्हाट कैन डू. So if I copy this, so I'll just show you with the simple examples. Okay. तो पहले हम पहला एग्जांपल देखते हैं, फर्स्ट एग्जांपल. So suppose if I'm removing everything, now suppose my this code is for, like, it is for check even. This code will tell me whether whether my number is even or odd. Okay. So what this code will do, it will tell me whether it is even and odd. And remember one thing, here I want my output in yes and no only. Okay. Whether true and false. So that's why I'm putting a return type as Boolean. I'm doing it. You can also write int, like if it is Boolean, then it will return one. If it is not Boolean, then it will return zero. So what I'll do is, अब basically अब मैं क्या करूंगा? So this is my check even function. Now I'll call the check even function. Check even. So check even function, if I call it, and suppose I'm giving a number 30. And now what this function will do, this function will check that whether that number is even or odd. Okay. So if a mod 2 equal to 0. So suppose for now, if I write it Boolean, if I write it void, so I will write system.out.println. I'm not returning anything, suppose for now. This is even. Okay. And else, this is odd. Okay, this is even, this is odd, done. Okay, so now if I execute this code, let's see what will happen. If I execute this code, what will happen? It will tell me this is even. So basically when I'm calling check even 30, it is 30 is actually going here, and now it is checking that, okay, now it is printing me this is even. But now what I want is, I don't want to put my output here. Instead of it, I want that key, it should return something. ये value return करे, and that value will get returned. So suppose if I'm returning one here. I'm returning a one here. One is integer value. I'm saying that if it is even, then return one. And if it is else, then you can also put another return. Then what should I return? So I can say that if it is odd, then return 0. Okay. And here instead of void, I'm writing int. ठीक है, थोड़ा अपने दिल को बचा के रखना, because अभी I have used to int. Okay. Suddenly you might feel that ये कहाँ से आ गया? So I'll just 1 second. I'm explaining you. Int x equal to check even 30. Now that value I can print system.out.println. Now I explain you why I'm saying this thing. क्योंकि मैंने क्यों दो रेटिंग लगाया, I'll explain you. देखो, try to understand one thing. Try to understand one thing कि what this, like, this is a return type. This is known as return type. And in this return type I'm saying int. अब एक बात बताओ कि अगर मैंने यहाँ पे ये नहीं लिखा होता, ठीक है, अगर मैंने ये यहाँ पे नहीं लिखा होता, so basically what kind of problem can come is, suppose int a is containing suppose number 21. Okay, imagine that. Now 21 mod 2 is not equal to 0, right? True. Like, right? Now if it is not even, then it will come to else. And if it is coming to else, and if I am not returning anything, तो basically इसके बाद तो कोड खत्म ही हो गया. तो मैंने तो गद्दारी कर दी ना इसके साथ, क्योंकि मैंने तो उसको बोला था कि मैं तुम्हें वैल्यू रिटर्न करूंगा. लाइक, गेटिंग इट? व्हाट दिस प्रोग्राम इज सेइंग दैट किसी भी सिनेरियो में व्हेन दिस प्रोग्राम विल एंड, इट विल रिटर्न यू सम वैल्यू. दैट केस आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट सपोज व्हेन इट इज 20, In that case, if you write it and it is even, then definitely it is returning 1. But what if it is a odd number? In that odd number, then you are not doing anything because the code is not coming to this place. The code is directly coming to this part. And when this code is not, and when you are not, like if there is nothing in this code, and when this code will end, then it is something like blank. We are not returning anything. But हमने तो promise किया था ना भाई, वादा किया था ना कोड लिखते हुए कि रिटर्न करेंगे, कुछ ना कुछ तो देंगे. So remember one thing, when these kind of if else condition will come, then you need to ensure that value is coming out of this code. So in that case, I'm saying that okay, अगर नहीं चला तो return 0. Okay, and in this case, that return value will come inside X, and that value I can print here. ओके यार, ये तो मैंने भी टेस्ट नहीं किया, एक बार इसको टेस्ट कर लेते हैं कि सपोज इफ आई पुट अ मेन फंक्शन. ओके, one of the student asking, like suppose if I put main function at the top, like will it work? I'll just need to check. चलना तो चाहिए वैसे, but let's see. हाँ, it is working. Either you can put main function at the top or main function at the bottom, it will work. Okay, it will work. So here you can see this thing. And guys, this is the thing. And here what I'm doing is, like I have written this check even. Now I'm copying this code and I'm writing the another version of it. Problem 6.java. So देखो, in the previous one, what I did is I was returning a int. Instead of it, I can also return a string. So return, ठीक है, I can return a 1 here. ठीक है, or I can also return this thing. भाई मेरे ये even है, ठीक है, क्योंकि in string you can return a long format strings. Okay, now whatever the output will come, I need to ensure that it is actually a string variable. And now if I execute this thing, problem 6, and now let's see, you can also return a string, but then you need to return a different message according to the data type. And since this is a like a even number, so it is actually printing that this is a even. This is even. So that this is means, and this is odd. So this is the main part, and like how you can return different things. Now I'm writing the third code for this one, problem 7. But you need to ensure कि program is returning in every scenario. Now instead of string, I am writing boolean. So if it is written, then you can write true. Okay, and if it is not, then I'm writing false. And here I need to use the boolean variable only. And if I execute it, okay, so it is giving me true. Why true? Because this is actually even. Now guys, I want to put one thing here. अरे C++ में क्यों कोड कर रहे हो? It is in Java ना, जो C++ का syntax is different. So now the point here is कि like I can also extend this code more. Okay, so here X is returning true. So I can write here is if X is true, system.out.println, this is even. Else system.out.println, this is odd. Okay, so you can also extend this code here. So what I'm doing is whatever the output is coming here, I'm just putting the long statement here. So if I execute it, then what will happen? It will give me the output. So I was showing you different scenarios, how you can use it in different ways. Okay. Now I want to tell you about the last topic. The last topic is known as scope. Okay. I want to tell you about the last topic, which is known as scope. So basically एक हमारा scope होता है. Scope is something. There are two kind of scope we have. So we have something known as local scope and we have known as global scope. Global scope. So guys, one thing which you need to remember is कि suppose this is my code, like I'm not writing a code, but I'm just representing this code with the blocks. And suppose in this code आपने छोटे छोटे घर बना रखे हैं, like this is a main function, like this is a main thing, and here inside it you made a small house. So this is function 1, this is function 2, this is function 3. You created different function, okay, and this is the main one, okay, you created here, and this is something like a complete main thing, okay. And now remember one thing, कि when, so there are two kind of variable you can create. You can create local variable and you can create global variable. So remember one thing, suppose if you are creating some variable inside this function, suppose x comma y, okay. So ye x comma y, suppose if you are giving some name to your variable, so in this function also you can use x comma y. So this is not the same x comma y, it's different x comma y, okay. And the scope of this function, like this function can only access to this one, this function can only access to this one, and function 3 can only access to, suppose there are multiple variable a comma b, this function cannot access these variables. तो इसको कहते हैं लोकल स्कोप, ओके. तो जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, suppose in a house, okay, there are multiple house, and now like there are three families which are living, okay. So the one of the family name is Kishori Lal family, okay. Another family name is Badri Lal family, and the third family is Rajesh Ram, Rajesh Ram family. Okay. And now Rajesh Ram family has their like own son, okay, own son and daughters. Now remember one thing, कि Rajesh Ram's, like suppose if there is any work in the home or something, so Rajesh Ram can only call his son or daughters, okay, to help with him. It's not like कि Rajesh Ram पड़ोसी के बच्चों को लेके आ गया कि okay, I'll like just help me on this thing or something like. Even remember one thing, if Rajesh Ram want to give name to the child, so they can only give name to their own child. ठीक है, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि बद्रीलाल के बच्चों को नाम देना शुरू कर देगा. So the point here is कि the scope of this family is only inside this function. Okay, you cannot access another function variable. You cannot access another function variable, and you cannot also access this function variables. सब अपने जो उस function के अंदर जो variables बने गए हैं, उन्हीं को they can use. Okay, so this is known as local scope. Local scope basically means whenever you are creating a function, that function can only access those variables which are created inside that, and you cannot use the variable which are of outside different function. So this is known as local scope. But what is global scope? Global scope basically means if you are creating a variable, अगर आप कोई ऐसा variable बना रहे हो, one second. If you are creating a global variable, so this global variable can be accessed by any one of them. So हमारे पास दो टाइप के वेरिएबल्स होते हैं, लोकल एंड ग्लोबल वेरिएबल्स. ओके, गेटिंग इट guys? 1 second, and just give me Okay, so one second, sharing my screen. So guys, remember one thing, and this is suppose like if you are creating a global variable. So global variable can be accessed by anyone. So if I'm talking about global is something like agar मान लो if I take an example of an orphan child, according to the story. So this orphan child can be taken by any of the family. Okay, so they have access on it. But अगर function 3 try to access the variable of x comma y another function, so it can create an error because you cannot do that. But if you want to access a global variable, completely allowed. It is very common what used to happen in your neighborhood. कोई बाहर का अगर like if suppose you are finding a puppy and you want to take in your home, so that is completely allowed. But ऐसे नहीं कि किसी के घर के अंदर जाके उनके पपी को उठा के अपने घर पे लेके आ गए कि नहीं मैं ऐसे पालूंगा. So it can create like trouble for you. So the same thing applies on this thing also. Like the same thing applies in the programming world also. Local scope and global scope. Okay. Remember one thing. But how we can create the basically this thing local scope and global scope? अगर हम इसको देखते हैं, let's write some code and we'll understand from that. From there you will understand the global scope and like local scope better. So now what I'll do is I'll write copy this code, and this is my problem 8. And now what I will do is I will create different families. Okay, तो बेसिकली मैं क्या करूँगा, एक different families बना दूंगा. तो ये मेन फंक्शन है. I'll remove this main function. Now public static void. Okay, and this is Kishori Lal family. Kishori Lal family. And in this Kishori Lal family, so there are something known as string. There are Kishori son. ठीक है, किशोरी के बेटे हैं, and the son name is Chunnu. अब basically what is happening? What happened here is, suppose if I'm printing this value system.out.println, and here I'm printing the Kishori son. Kishori son की value I've printed it. Similarly, I have another family. Okay, and the another family name is Badrilal family. Badrilal family. Okay, and Badrilal son, and Badrilal's son name is Hariom. Okay, and now I want to print this value. Let's see what will happen. And if I copy this thing again, the third thing is Rajesh Ram family. Rajesh Ram family. And here what I'm doing is I'm writing the name Golu. ठीक है, Rajesh Ram son. I'm putting the name here and I'm printing it. So now you can see that like every family has their own son, and they have like I printed the value. Now suppose if I'm execute this Kishori Lal family for now. Okay, I'm executing this Kishori Lal family. Now let's see what will happen. Java problem 8.java. So if I execute it, so you can see that Chunnu is getting printed. Kishori Lal family is getting printing the Chunnu. So that is fine. Okay. Similarly, if I print the Badrilal family, so this is fine. Okay. So we will to access this thing. Now for now, let's do one thing. I'll do one thing key. You know that like here I have created a Kishori son and this is Chunnu. I've printed the value. Now imagine that if I want to print the value of, if I want to print the value of Badrilal son. So now tell me, can Kishori Lal family access the Badrilal son? Is it allowed? Because here what I did is, here I'm calling the Kishori Lal family. If I remove it, I'm calling the Kishori Lal family. It is doing this thing. Then what it is doing, it is actually printing the Badrilal son. So if I access, try to run this code, then let's see what will happen. So it is giving me an error. Okay. So it is saying that can't find a symbol. Error, compilation failed. Why? Because you are trying to access that variable which is exist in different family. दूसरे family का परिवार के बच्चे को चुराते हो, शर्म नहीं आती. So that is the main thing. You need to focus कि when you are trying to access different function variable, in that case it will give you an error. Okay. Similarly, the same thing is true for Badrilal family also. If you are actually printing the Rajesh Ram son. So if I execute this Badrilal family, and let's see what will be the output. And if I execute it, let's see what will be the output. So you can see that again the error will come. Why? Because you cannot access it. But now this is the local scope. I think you have understood the local scope. Now I want to explain you the basically the global scope. So for global scope, I need to create a global variable. So global variable actually created outside. वो हमेशा function के outside create होता है. वो किसी function के अंदर नहीं होता है. तो उसके लिए what I'm doing is, and always remember that in Java, when you are creating a global variable, you need to write static. Okay, you need to write static. So when I'm writing static, and then I need to put the string, so the data type, and then I'm giving the orphan child. Okay, and I'm giving the orphan child name Billu. Okay, so basically we have Billu, and let's see if suppose Kishori Lal family want to adopt that Billu. So in that case, is it possible that they can print this thing? So suppose what I'll do, I'll copy this code, and if I'm putting here Billu. So tell me, is it allowed that Kishori Lal can access the global variable? Okay, so now let's see if I execute it and if I run it. So here I'm printing the Kishore Lal family. It will go to this one, and it is saying that one second. It is saying that it is giving an error. Sorry, मेरे को बिल्लू नहीं print करना है, मुझे तो orphan child print करना है. Sorry, बिल्लू is the value. Okay. So if I print it, let's see whether they will be able to access it or not. So it is able to print it Billu. So same thing, same is true for Badrilal also, same is true for Rajesh Ram family also. Okay, so this is known as global scope. Global variable you can access by any of the function, but local variable are only allowed to access in the same one. Okay, now tell me whether you understood or not. Okay, nice. Oh my God, 60%. That is a lot. अगर आपको ये समझ में आए, क्योंकि in the past I've seen that student were like crying after learning function. So there are two topics which used to feel challenging. So nested loop and function. Okay. So now I want to show you like let's solve some few problems. And the first problem is finding a factorial. Okay. Factorial of a number and using function. Now what you need to do is आपका task है, you need to write the code for it. अभी हम सिर्फ last 10-15 मिनट सिर्फ will do the question only. Okay, so what you need to do, मैं यहाँ पे remove this thing. I'm just giving you the body, and here I'm writing public static void factorial. It's totally up to you whether you want to, so imagine that if I want to return a value of factorial, and here you can see that int and x and I'll be calling this factorial from here. So I want to find the factorial of 12, or you can say that 6. So you need to complete this code quickly. I'm just sharing the Notion link with you, and you need to quickly write the code for it. जितनी तेजी से लिख सकते हो लिखो. One second, I'm just sharing the. I'm copying this code. And this is task 2 code, pasting here. And now in the same link, you will find out now. Just quickly open this link and just quickly solve this question. Please solve this question, put on the chat. हाँ, पैरामीटर में you can write the same name, it doesn't matter. मतलब अगर दूसरे फंक्शन में you created xy तो अपने उसमें भी you can create anything. You need to write a complete code with function, parameter. Okay, nice, Adarsh. अरे वैल्यू प्रिंट नहीं करनी है, आपको फैक्टोरियल निकालना है. फैक्टोरियल मतलब 5 4 3 2 1. If 6 is given, so 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. भाई रिकर्शन जैसा कोड मत लिखो यार, उसे देख के डर लगता है. अभी you can directly just write the full way. Okay, full way of writing it. ठीक है. ठीक है, तो देख लेते हैं एक बार. So basically here is a factorial. I want to find the factorial for x, and here I'm writing a result equals to 1 equals to 1. ठीक है, for int I equals to 1, I less than equals to x, I plus plus, And now if I just find the result equals to result into I. Okay. Now after executing this code, system.out.println, and I'm printing the result here. So if I'm done with the result, so I don't want to print the result because here it is saying end. So I'll need to return the result here. So when I'm returning the result, so I'll write int result equals to system.out.println result Java problem 9.java. So if I execute it, then what will happen? It will provide me the factorial of the number. So here it is giving system.out कहाँ से आ गया? System.out.println variable out of type print spelling. अच्छा सही बात. So if I execute it, then you can see that output is coming clear. So I'm getting my output and like in the factorial way, I'm calculating it. Now the guys, next thing I want to explain you is, okay, एक चीज मैं आपको बस explain करना चाहता हूँ, उसके बाद एक problem देखते हैं, done. That यहाँ पे आप एक चीज देखोगे कि also in like if I just remove this function, यहाँ पे एक ध्यान दो कि यहाँ पे ना like एक string dot r just be able, this is a string array. Okay, what is the point of this? Because there might be some value present inside it now. So if I want to print some value, like this is the argument array, so I can write argument of 0. But what this मतलब इस argument के अंदर value क्या है? What is the value which it is containing? So if I just print it, क्योंकि this is actually providing by main. Okay, and I know that like this is a string. This is something like a string variable. Okay, this is something like a string array actually. So if you want to basically print something, so what we need to do is, like you can see that like here I'm writing Java problem 10.java. Now if you put a space and suppose if you write hello, okay, so automatically what will happen if I execute it? Hello will get printed. Why? Because this argument is automatically going inside this argument, this args. Now suppose if I write args of 1, okay. Now in that case, what will happen? If I just send hello to it, but now I have also printed the next value. I'm also asking for the next one, like give me the next one also. तो वो मुझे क्या कर रहा है? पहला वैल्यू दे रहा है. अब now it is saying that कि okay, hello तो I have printed, but the next one is actually out of bound because there is no other value. So instead, what you need to do is, like, if you want to print, so I will write Java hello, and suppose if I'm writing hello world, and now if I press enter, let's see what will happen. Argument of 0 and argument of 1 will get printed. So hello and world will get printed. And if you want to find the length of it, अगर आप अच्छा तरीका क्या है प्रिंट करने का? सबसे अच्छा तरीका ये है कि there is also one like if you write args.length, you know that like in array we have something known as arg.length. So it will tell me the length of it. What is the length of this thing? So it is giving me the length 2. So the best way of doing this thing is just write a loop. Int I equal to 0, I less than args dot length I plus plus, and inside it put this code, copy and remove this, and here I'll write args of I. If I execute it, if I run it, let's see what will happen. Now you don't need to think about any error because automatically it will go till args.length. Args.length is defining कि जितने आप string यहाँ पे डालोगे उतने का array size बन जाएगा. It will create the array size of I think so it is printing hello world. Okay, so this is the nice way of doing it. Now last thing which I want to show you is कि suppose imagine that I have an array. मेरे पास एक array है. I want to find the sum of an array. Sum of array. So int. Okay. So अभी पहले हम ये देख लेते हैं. If I'm creating an array here. So suppose if I'm creating an array here, int array, ठीक है. एक तो तरीका ये है new int something like this. Another way you can directly write here, ठीक है, 2 4 5 6 8. So now it actually created this array. एक इसने integer array it created it. Now what I want is basically I want to find the sum of all these elements. So what I'll do is I'll call the sum of array function. If I call the sum of array function, so in this way, inside this I will put arr variable. Now from the same side, you know that I need to define the parameter. तो parameter आप यही exactly same आप define यही कर सकते हो. जो first you need to give the data type and then just the variable name, and this you can put anything arr x, like I told you कि parameter में you can put anything. Now after that what you can do is you can define int sum equal to 0 for int I equal to 0, the same way how we have seen array in the, like जो हमने last session देखा था, last session देखा था I plus plus, and now you can calculate sum equal to sum plus array of I, and now you can return sum also. You can return the sum also, and int यहाँ पे I can write int x equal to system.out.println. You can create any kind of data type. ठीक है, किसी भी data type को you can use in function. So never bound yourself कि okay I can only create, like I can only play with simple data type in functions. So it will give me the So it is giving me the sum 720. The another thing which I want to tell you is, suppose instead of calculating this thing, suppose imagine that for every array of I was adding some value. Every array of I was adding 5. So what this code is doing, this is updating the array. And at every index, it is actually what it is doing, adding 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 to each of this value. Now, if I return an array, अगर मैं array return करता हूँ तो क्या होगा? ठीक है, तो उसके लिए मुझे यहाँ पे डेटा टाइप भी चेंज करना पड़ेगा. उसके लिए यहाँ पे आई नीड टू change the data type also. So basically here I am returning the array. So this is the data type of an array na, in double. So if I just return this array, then on the other side also I need the, मुझे ये भी चाहिए होगा कि मैं यहाँ पे भी define इस तरह से ही करूँ. Because since it is returning an array, so whatever the variable which is taking the value, so that should be an array also. So now if I write for, I'll just write in a shorter manner. मैं shorter वाला method use करता हूँ. So that is, मैं इसको नाम देता हूँ new array. Int y new underscore array. And if I just print system.out.println, remember this was the announced loop or for each loop, which we can directly use with arrays. So if I just execute it, let's see what will happen. So why? So this is problem 11. So if I execute it, let's see what will be the output. I think पहले वाले का output शायद वो गड़बड़ हो गया, क्योंकि मैंने शायद ये उसने पुराना कोड ही चला दिया था. But ठीक है, that will work. So you can see that like 5 value added to the each of them, and now here we am returning an array. So this is the return data type, and this is how it will works. Okay, ठीक है guys, that's all, and I hope you understood lot of things from the today's session. ठीक है. आई होप आपको इसके बाद डिप्रेशन ना आए कि इतनी अजीब सी चीज़ पड़ी है आज, बट ये सबसे अच्छी चीज़ है, ओके, विच यू विल अप्रिशिएट लेटर एंड व्हेन यू विल गेट यूज्ड टू इट, एंड इन मोस्ट ऑफ लाइक ऑल द प्रोग्रामिंग विच यू विल बी डूइंग इन द फ्यूचर, वहाँ पे फंक्शनल थिंग इज द वन मेन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग विच विल बी डूइंग अ लॉट, क्योंकि कभी भी एक कोड में सारी चीज़ें नहीं लिखी जाती। ओके, सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द, कोई बात नहीं, खिचड़ी हो गया है। लाइक देयर वाज अ टाइम